So hi, I'm Arpit from the Movie Buff.
I'm Nithin Lukose, director of Paka, River of Blood.
So Nithin, we like to ask you this first question that what inspired you to become a filmmaker, and can you tell us a bit about your journey so far?
I think what inspired me is the films I have watched from my childhood. As a beginner, I started watching regional cinema, but later when we had Doordarshan, we used to watch Bollywood movies in Friday, Saturday. Then later in college, we had a film club, where there I watched a lot of international cinema, and 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 I think that was the time I really wanted to go and study cinema, because I was really inspired by the films I watched, and international films I watched from the film school. And that was the beginning. And then I wrote to FT. I got in sound recording and design, but parallelly I used to write. I was trying to make my own film and try to pitch my subjects, and yeah, when I think maybe when the right time came, I I had story, I had a producer, and I could make this film. I think it's just a
Oh,
time, when the right time to make a film.
so you said that you started
Yeah.
your journey after you got graduated. You started from sound design. So did that help you when you decided to make your own first feature film? Did that help you at all?
Definitely, because I as a sound recordist, I have been to many films location. From Titi, I did Titi, which one in Locarno in 2015, and a lot of movies till Divagar Banerjee, Sandeep or Pinky Farrar, and I was working with
Yeah.
Bennett Miller when he came to India to shoot
Oh,
Dalai Lama. I was doing a
oh,
documentary. Then I worked with Julie Taimur when she was making The Glorias, the new film released last year. So I
hmm.
got a lot of opportunity to work with different directors on set and in post production also, so that dealing with different aesthetics and style, workflow, work style, that really helped me to maybe form my own style to make a film
Okay.
in
So
executing and yeah, aesthetics. I think it's a combination. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's always great to adopt a different tool before you start your own film. I think it always helps.
Definitely, it does. Yeah, I think knowingly you're not, adapting something, but unknowingly maybe you're adapting something which you like. It's a subconscious process, maybe. I think I believe in mentorship. I believe in guru, the concept called
Yeah.
guru. So I think there have been a lot of mentors for me, from Rasul Pokuti to in Ram Reddy also. Like, when a lot of people taught me a lot of things, and
You have worked with Ram Reddy, right? You have worked with him.
I did Titi. Yeah, Titi was my
Yeah.
first feature film as a sound
Yeah.
designer. Yes.
Yeah.
And Sandeep or Pinky Farrar, Dibagar Banerjee also. So everyone
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
their own
I've
work
seen that
style.
film. It's a good film.
Yeah.
It's a great film as well.
Yes. So
So
everyone's
what
work style.
inspired Paka? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying we are just adapting to the work style what the people who already work with. Some inspires you really. I mean, it's good to get experiences from different directors, so that when I wanted to make my film, so I could adapt a lot of things from many people whom I worked with.
Yeah. I think that's always helps. That always
Yeah.
helps.
Yes.
So Paka River of Blood, it's a very interesting film. I loved it. So
Thank
what inspired you to, for this film, and how was the writing process like? How long did it took you to just, complete the film? I'm talking about the writing.
Writing, we almost took 1 year, and
Oh,
there's a script mentor whose name is Asad Hussain. He lives in Bombay. He writes for Netflix, and he has written a lot of films. And Asad used to be a mentor of NFDC Film Writers Lab also. So Gitanjali
hmm.
Rao and her partner KK Muralidharan, they introduced me to Asad. When I was writing something, I said I wanted to write something, and I need a mentor. Like, I need someone to tell me, like, how, someone to guide me writing screenplay. And they suggested Asad, and Asad really helped me to develop the screenplay. And we were working on almost, like, I think it took almost a year, like 10 months to 1 year to of the writing process. And we shot almost the 10th or the 11th 11th draft of the film. So
Oh,
it took a long time to develop into a
so
screenplay which
what
we
inspired the story? Because story is a very interesting revenge drama, I will say. So what was the inspiration for it?
story is actually the old stories which was going on here, and the stories my grandmother told me. I mean, the stories which I heard when I was growing up, and there is a lot of things happening. I mean, this is a happening place. There's a lot of things happened like this before in the past. Like people dies in the river. People kill and dump in the river. So these things happened in the past, and now when I go back, when I went back to my place, I had this river. It is a dangerous river where there's a lot of trenches and people dies in it, and there's a man who takes out dead bodies. I thought that's a very unique element about this space, and I think every space has this element, like something like this, and we just have to find out what is it. Then I connected it to some past events, and I think where people dies, a river where people dies, and so I maybe I figured out there is a possibility for a revenge drama in this space. And I collected some stories from the past and from the my grandmother's experience, and I was talking to uh, the people who lived at that time, 60s, from 60s to this time, and who are is alive, and they had a lot of stories to tell. So this is a combination of a lot of experiences, and basically it's a blend of reality and fiction.
So, if I'm not wrong, that the film is based in Minor and you have grown up in that city. So, was it any particular reason why you just wanted to shoot the entire film into the place you have grown up in?
I mean, as a student of film school FTI, we are all coming from different spaces. Like I was coming from Kerala. Like I have a lot of friends who's coming from different states. Like there's a friend from Assam. There's a friend from Sikkim. There's a lot of friends from Maharashtra. There are friends from Calcutta. So it's a combination of the whole country. Basically, it's a cultural combination. FTA gets a cultural combination of the whole country in language and culture. I mean, it's very versatile. The students are coming there. Then we go there. We learn together an art called cinema. Like for it took almost 4 to 5 years to complete the course, and we are all there like every day watching different movies on film print of different culture, like different language, different country, different genre, and I mean that basically that what taught us is that I mean what I I learned a lot of things from film school, and what I unlearned from film school is that you go back to your space, you retrieve to your space, go back, get your you make a film from your culture where the best. I mean that's the place which I know from my childhood, right? I mean that's the best place I can make a film about. Maybe that will be the most truthful film which I can make. So that's how I went back to my space. I mean that was a conviction which it just happened. I don't know how it happened, but I thought that's the right thing to do, and went back to my place and try to find stories and try to get elements from my roots and make the film there, the first film there. That was the idea.
So, you always had this place in your mind while you were writing it, or did you had any other places in mind while you were just crafting the entire story?
No, when I you see the way the writing started is like from 2011 I was started I started writing for screenplays. I've written and registered many screenplays in Screenwriters Association. I pitched it to a few directors, but it never happened in my Malayalam directors also. And this time when I wanted to make something, I I went I was watching a church festival in 2019 here. So this was like almost after 4 to 5 years after I came back to my space for the church festival. Otherwise, we are busy with movies, like busy with films and out from the space. And when I came back, I mean, maybe after a long time I am attending the festival, I was amazed with the scale of the festival and visually and sound wise. Like it was huge, like thousands of people attending it. I mean, I always knew this, but maybe after a film school graduate, I looked at it in a different way. Then I told one of my friends that I want to make a film which ends with the church festival. here. And the next year, Church Festival, we shot the last day of the film. Like we shot the climax of the film.
Yeah.
So it was actually a 1 year process from the thought to complete of shooting. And yeah, I mean that was a process basically we went through, and I had all the locations in front of me, almost all the characters in front of me when I'm writing, because this is a space where I want to shoot. I know this is a location I want to shoot, and almost all the locations and characters were there, and I was building a story and building this whole thing around this location and characters. It's a film about a space and people living there, basically.
Hmm.
You
So,
can see it.
what was it like to creating revenge story that revolved around the families and in a small town? So you always had that theme in your head while you were trying to writing this story, or did you had other ideas before you just came up with this?
It got up. I mean, it gradually developed into this family feud and all of that, because I mean, in the beginning it was a political feud happening, because there's a lot of political murders happens in Kerala. I mean,
Hmm.
still it happens. So the first idea was that, because I mean, I had a river where people are dying and there's a man to retrieve the bodies. The first idea was definitely it was political. Maybe it was between two political parties and they killed and dump each other. It was something like that. But later, when the characters are formed, I think maybe emotionally it was better to place it in between two families. Then it evolved in between two families. So I have I think the first draft or something, it was something like that. Like the first draft of the story, the synopsis is, it was which I sent to Sundance 2020 development track, and it was shortlisted there. That was about political vengeance. And but later when I wrote the first draft, it came into you know the family feud. It was a process that happened gradually to the film.
That's great. So one of the thing that is quite evident in the film is that the way you have shown the element of the small town, and one of the thing which I loved is there is this one man who is listening about a radio on the next side of the river. He's I guess listening about the world politics, world event, and when the one of my favorite character comes, we see WWE entry of the Undertaker on the background. So, what inspired you to use such element? Can you tell us a bit about it?
I mean, the idea of having someone sitting the other side of the river, like he's like someone like a dead man, or maybe he's a god. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, for me, maybe I'll say that he's a god, or for like any, I mean, audience can think that he's a dead man who's sitting there, because the other people are all sitting with him. But he is someone who has access to everything in the world. So he's listening to a Colombian football commentary. He's listening to a cricket commentary. He's listening to war news. So he gets all the news from a radio which he has, and he's witnessing this small village. And basically, the idea is the small village is a miniature of the whole entire world, and someone is witnessing it, who has all access to to the entire world. That was the basic idea. And the football commentary, that just came during the, I mean, we never planned it. It just came during the sound design. So we're doing it, and the sound designer was there, and we're thinking like, what can we improvise here, and maybe and during that time we named I think towards the end of the writing process, we named Kochepu, that character who's coming back from jail. We named him as Goliath. Like Goliath is someone who is huge, and I mean who's really, who's like the biggest man of the world kind types. And Undertaker is someone like that. So I used to watch a lot of Undertaker during when I was growing up, and I mean it was just an improvisation to get into it, and I think it suited there. Then there's a metaphor. It's a visual metaphor. There is things are repeating when Johnny is also coming back, and then it's saying that this is a different Undertaker, like so another one is coming back from the family. Yeah.
I think that was a very interesting scene. I just loved it. I loved it when he got entered. In a way, you get the feeling that okay, the new character has entered. He has some relevance just because of that, small clip of Undertaker that just plays into the
Yeah,
background.
yeah, he has something to do in the film. So that is getting indicated in that.
Yeah.
on audio clip.
Another thing that which I loved in the film is the element of the grandma. So her voice, tell us about that. Something is about to get down. Her serious voice always indicates us something, and we never get to see her. We never get to see her. So was why did you plan it such a way that that we never get to see the grandma and the voice?
Grandmas, we shot grandma. We had so in one of the edits, earlier edits, we had when Pachi kills her and take the pillow back, we see her face. So so actually we were seeing her face, and my grandmother is acted as the grandmother.
Oh,
And yeah, and I wanted, it's like my relationship to her, and because she used to tell me a lot of stories, and she's telling a lot of stories to Pachi in the film. And so when Anurag Kashyap joined, and we had discussions, and I think we reshot a little bit of that portion. So then in some discussions it came up that if if you show the monster, like if you show this grandmother, like if you show the monster, otherwise she's only through sound, right? If you're showing her, she's no more a monster, because she doesn't look like a monster in real life. She's she's a cute grandmother. And I think it's a good decision not to show the face, so that only sounds if you're listening to it. I was imagining this character like someone like Dadi in Tumbad. That was a
yeah.
scary character,
I
right?
think
With
I got
the
the same feeling when I heard her voice that
yeah,
she can be that grandma from Tumba.
she
Yeah,
can look like that, that Dadi. So I don't want to, I want audience to just leave the imagination with sound, not to show her. So I think that was a good decision which we made.
yeah. So did you had the? I mean, if I talk about the shooting, do as a director, do you have any favorite scene that you maybe had a most fun shooting, or let's say had the most difficulty to shoot?
It's really, I mean, it's tough to say for me, because I think every day is different in a shoot. Like one day can be really good, one day can be really bad because of the performances also, because we are dealing with a lot of non-actors in the film. 90% of them are not actors. So we had an acting coach from my junior from FTI, Suraj. He was helping me to train them, to prepare them before the shoot. But you never know what during the shoot what you're going to get, because you have no idea, like, because how they are going to act. And it's a combination of, it's a bunch of non-actors and a lot of combination of non-actors. Like we had to reshoot many scenes in different days. But and I think, but every day it was getting better. I don't have, I mean, I can't say there's a favorite scene of mine. There is a lot, but I don't want to comment on it. Like, I mean, let it be with me. Like, whatever the favorite scenes of mine are, because I'll have my reasons to, have
Yeah,
those
yeah,
favorite scenes.
yeah. I can understand. I
But
can understand.
it was like, on and off. There is some scenes sometimes on the first first day of the shoot, or for the first day of the scene, it really comes up well, and we are really happy. Maybe the next day when we shoot something else and it's really gone wrong, like everything gone wrong, then we have to reshoot it some other day. So we had ups and downs and good days and bad days, but eventually this is what it is, final film what we have.
So this was one of my questions as well. That the casting seems very interesting, and I would say this, that it's very impressive the way they have performed. And while I was researching about the film and everything, I got to know that many of the people that who has acted in the film are the people are basically from your town. So what was the casting process like? You have mentioned a bit about that you had this one acting coach that were helping you, but what was the casting the other people like?
Casting was mostly there are all people from that place which I already know. So I and Johnny's friends are my friends. When I come to Wayanad, so I used to chill with them. And my cousins are also all acted, so I know how they behave. Like, I know how these guys can behave, and they might not act in front of camera, but they can behave. So we are giving them workshop, we're making them comfortable to act. We are giving them improvise to get say their own dialogues, what they usually say to a friend or someone. And I think many of them were already there in the from the space, and some are, some actors are from theater whom we casted to do some, who had done some theater, but not very pro guys or anyone. Kochepu is a theater actor, like, who taught me in schools. As a, he taught me theater in school, and the casting was having, I mean, it was going on parallelly with the writing, and I could see the characters who were always playing, and most of the casting worked out when we are, it was a parallel process. The casting, the space, locations, and writing was a parallel process happening for 1 year.
So you always had, like while you were creating the character, you already had a casting in your head while you were creating the character.
Yeah, most of them, many of them, like, yeah, many of them. And Kochepu's character is actually, when I met this guy during the writing, and I don't know, after meeting this guy, and then I wrote this character. I mean, I didn't write for him, but he inspired me somehow to, write about the character, and who's coming back, and who's actually tall and huge, who can be dangerous, but he's a very soft, sweet fellow. I mean, this guy is someone like that. So I mean, I'm inspired from his character also. Then I placed it like that. So I think many of them were already there, and the policemen who acted in the film are actual real police officers, and I got them to act. It was an interesting process, and we really had a great experience during shooting, including my cinematographer with me. He's my batchmate from FTI. So we worked together from campus, and we had an understanding how to go about it. So he was a an incredible part of the team when we are making the film, and the production, and I mean, everything was here. Like, it was an incredible crew. That's what I want to say. Like, most of them are new from film schools, and otherwise they're all from here, from this space, who was ready to help. Yeah,
So I think that helps a lot.
definitely, yeah. Good team helps. I mean, a good team makes a film. Basically, it's about
Yeah,
the team who
yeah,
who makes it
definitely,
a film.
definitely. So one of the thing that the film has the violence, but it got showed in a way that it won't feel you, it won't terrify you. So was that always a conscious decision that you wanted to show the violence in this way?
Yeah, while we are preparing the storyboards also, we had this idea of not, I mean, usually that's what you do, right, in a violent film, in a commercial cinema. What That's what you do with a script like this. You take it and you show bloodshed, and it's I think that's easier to do it. So we decided not to show much during the. So there is Deepak, who did, he was an animation pass out from FTI, who did the storyboarding for the film, and Srikanth, the cinematographer. So when we are discussing this one, then we said we'll go very much disciplined, and we won't show it visually. And there is sound we can use, music we can use to, if we want to enhance it. But you don't have to enhance it. Like, the violence is inherent in that space. That's what I want to convey through, you know, through the making of the film. And I don't want to show it explicit, because it's there inherent. So if you don't show it also, it's there. I mean, you'll feel it like a violent film more than you see it like a violent film. That's how we are trying to make
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that was great. So one of the things that I love the most is when Kuchubu went to see the film, and he gets emotional while watching the film. So what is like, because the character before that has always showed that he's a tough guy. He's came out of the jail and everything, and then we see him getting emotional. So what was the inspiration for placing that particular scene for this character?
This is one of my favorite scenes, if you ask me. And Johnny's expression to him.
Yeah,
See, I think Kochepu's character, basically, the idea was to have Kochepu's character and reveal him slowly who exactly this guy is. And later, after all these incidents, after this theater, he's crying, he's watching a B grade film. So everyone is serious, and this guy is crying. Not. I mean, and they're all making fun of this guy who's Goliath, who's
yeah,
killed somebody, went to jail and coming back.
yeah,
Basically, I mean, he's a lighthearted, he's a very very nice guy, he's a lighthearted guy, and he's coming back from from jail, and we slowly started revealing his character. From there, Kochab is going to solve the issues. He's going to say sorry to Anna. He gets everything for Johnny. So basically, we are building him in a way that he really wants to live a life from this point, wants to end everything. And at this point, I think that was the right point to end Kochepu, because if I think that's the right point, if you the audience are going to miss Kochepu at that point, because we have grown. I mean, the character was grown such in such a way that the audience, if the audiences miss Kochepu's character, then the film is going to work. That was my basic thought about the film. How the
Yeah,
film is
I
going to
just
work
love that
was
scene. It's amazing.
this.
Just love the scene.
Yeah.
So river itself plays, in your film not only as a location but more like a character. So, was there any reason why you have decided to, use river in such a way?
Yeah, River, River is one of the main characters in the film. So when we started writing it, the first thing I adapted is the River, the man, and the man who takes dead bodies in it. And they're all like all men, like who's retrieving dead bodies, because this is happening for long. Like I adapted, and I made a story around the river, around this a life of people who's living around the river. So first thought it was political, but then it became a family drama. But yeah, river is definitely space. I mean, this is a film about space. This is more a character driven or space driven film than a story driven film. That's what I would like to believe it.
So, Nathan, it's your first film, and it has already won an award at the Film Bazaar, and also that is premiering at TIFF. How does it feel to be being your first debut film, and you're getting all this recognition? How does it feel as a filmmaker?
It's really a pleasure to see the journey of the film. I mean, we never know when we started making the film it's going to be this. I mean, I never know it's going to be at TIFF, or it's never going to be in WIP lab. But I really enjoyed the process of the filmmaking, from the writing to this stage, like the we are at TIFF. It was a very gradual growth of the film. So when I started writing, I had the script mentor to help me. Then I pitched it to Raj, the producer of the film, and I was working as a sound designer with Raj in his film. And I pitched it one night, and he really got impressed. He said, "Okay, let's make it as as an indie film if we can." That's how it made into a project. And then I think it was a process going on. You build the team, you get people there, then you make. I did the executive production of the film also during in my space, and it was a process which I really enjoyed, and it was a gradual growth of the film. There are definitely ups and downs. There are really good moments, really desperate moments also for the film. Me and Raj, we were going through all kind of experiences, acceptance, rejections, and finally it got into Anurag Kashyap came in after a point.
Yeah,
Then it got into Anurag really trusted that this film can be something, because he saw this film as a personal cinema coming from a space. That's how he saw that. And maybe he thought it's for him. He told me it's something like Gangs of Wasseypur for him. Okay, something like
yeah.
that.
Actually,
And
the violence was the same way. I felt like when I was just watching the violence in the film, that I got the feeling of the Anurag Kashyap film. That's how he basically also shows the violence in his film. That you
he
will never
treats like
feel
that.
the
Yeah.
violence, but you will see it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So when he
and
was backing the project, I know that this is the kind of film he can back for sure.
yeah, I think this is a film which Anurag really. I mean, Anurag can like and I mean, more than a violent film, he think that he made Gangs of Wasseypur going back to his roots, his space where he knows
Yeah.
stories from there. That's
Yeah.
the same thing I did. I went back to my roots. It's more a personal cinema, like him. Maybe Gangs of Wasseypur is more a personal cinema. And then then gradually Film Bazaar happened. It won the best film, one of the best films there. Then TIFF happened. It's a gradual growth of the film. I think it will have its own journey. I think film has a. I believe I would like to believe that it's not a director's. I don't say that it's a director's medium. It's a team effort. but at the end of the day, maybe director represents the cinema because he has the vision, and the writer director maybe he represents it. But I think film has a collective consciousness from all of the people who worked in the film. So that is bigger than us. Like that is, I mean, it has its own existence, and that will do what it has to do. I mean, I lost control over it. I no one has control over that existence. So that will do whatever the film will do what it has to do, like that it want to do. So it will have its journey. That's how I would like to
So
believe. Yeah.
yeah. So you already said that Raj was getting interested in the project while you were doing the sound editing for his film, and Anurag
Yeah.
Kashyap came later on the board. So did they help you in other way as well, other than backing the project? Were there influence there on the film other ways as well?
Um, I mean, mostly for for this film, I think Raj, as a producer, Raj was a he was a tremendous support behind me, and Raj was, we are discussing a lot of decision making in the film regarding production and regarding the creative aspects, also about edits we are discussing, and we are consulting different people, getting feedbacks. So we are doing it parallelly, and Anurag also has given some feedback. So he was also helping from his point of view how it can be get better. And we have shown the film to Adur Gopalakrishnan also. I think Adur sir also has given a lot of inputs to the film. So how can what can be this? I mean, you lose objectivity after a point as when you're working on something for quite a long. So you go to feedbacks and get a common, a small group, give the film to them, listen to them and see, then give some time to it. Have an objective point of view of what are the suggestions if they make sense. And it was a process. I think that's a process which a film has to go through. Most of the films which has time to, we had time, basically we had time because of COVID. The pandemic happened, all of post production was happening during pandemic. So almost 1.5 years we did the post production, because I mean nothing was happening during that time. It was super complicated. So, and most of the post production were happening online. And I think some of it, like, yeah, then we had the sound mixing, music. So we composed most of the beginning music portions in Zoom calls. So it was a different process altogether at this time, basically at this pandemic time.
So, Nitin, I have this one question for you: that what success mean to you as a individual, and what success mean to you as a filmmaker?
I don't know, like I can't differentiate that. I mean, I cannot differentiate the difference between a success of a filmmaker and an individual, because I was fully into the film when I'm making it. So I mean, I think, see, when I have seen interviews of people like saying that their life is different and cinema is different. For me, it's not different. I mean, I cannot see it differently. So as an individual, as a filmmaker, I think I enjoy the the journey of the film. I think maybe if it's a success and if it's people are liking it, it's a good thing. I mean, it's a subjective thing. Like people can like or dislike, but I'm happy that I mean I could make a film which from where I came from, and it's a TIFF which is getting recognition. It's a blessing to the film. I'm happy both the ways as a filmmaker and a human being. Yeah, that's the best.
Okay. So, Nitin, anything else that you are currently working on? What we're gonna see in future?
Writing something, different ideas are coming up from here and there, and I'm trying to write something which I want to make, and nothing concrete for now. I'm just still in the writing process. Let's see, whenever it's mature, we'll I'll I'll approach producers and actors to shoot it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Nitin, for doing this interview. We had a great time talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Arpit.